If you fell out of a tree or got trampled by a bison 50,000 years ago and heard a sickening snap, what were your chances of surviving the week? In the modern world, a broken bone means an ambulance ride, an x-ray, a sterile operating room, and a fiberglass cast. But in the Stone Age, without hospitals, metal plates, or modern pharmaceuticals, a major fracture was practically an immediate death sentence. Or was it? Deep in the fossil record, archaeologists have uncovered something extraordinary: human skeletons with completely healed fractures. Among the most famous is a 15,000-year-old femur, the thickest, strongest bone in the human body. It had snapped entirely in two, yet the bone grew back, fusing solidly along a thick, healthy callus. To survive a broken femur in the wild, you cannot run, you cannot hunt, and you cannot walk to water for at least 6 weeks. So what did ancient humans actually do when someone broke a bone? The moment a bone snapped, the tribe faced an immediate medical crisis: bone alignment and stabilization. If a fractured limb heals crooked or overlapping, the person is permanently crippled. If the jagged edges sever an artery or tear through the skin into a compound fracture, deadly infection is almost guaranteed. Ancient healers understood this danger through generations of observation. First, they used physical traction. Strong members of the tribe would grip the injured person's limb and pull firmly in opposite directions. This countertraction stretched the spasming muscle tissue, allowing the healer to manipulate the shattered bone ends back into natural alignment with their hands. Once aligned, they needed to freeze the limb in place without modern plaster. To build a rigid splint, they harvested the thick, stiff outer bark of birch or willow trees. They molded this curved bark directly around the limb, lining the inside with soft animal fur or down feathers to prevent friction ulcers. Next came the bindings. Ancient healers soaked strips of fresh rawhide in warm water. They wrapped the pliable, wet hide tightly around the bark splint and secured it firmly above and below the fracture. As the rawhide dried by the campfire, it naturally shrank and hardened, creating an airtight, rock-solid compression sleeve that locked the broken bone rigid. In other regions, tribes smeared thick layers of sticky river clay directly over fibrous reeds wrapped around the limb. Once dried in the sun, it formed a prehistoric plaster cast. Yet mechanical stabilization was only the beginning. The most perilous obstacle was keeping an incapacitated person alive while the bone slowly fused. In the animal kingdom, a broken leg means instant abandonment and death. Predators target the weak, and the herd keeps moving. But early humans did not abandon their wounded. Archaeological digs across Europe and Asia reveal countless skeletons of individuals who suffered severe trauma, lost limbs, or endured shattered pelvises, yet lived for decades afterward. This provides indisputable proof of an ancient social safety net. When a hunter broke a leg, the entire community shifted its daily priorities. An adult human requires thousands of calories a day just to maintain metabolic healing. For months, other members of the tribe hunted extra game, gathered roots, and brought water directly to the injured person's sleeping mat. When the camp had to migrate to follow seasonal animal herds, the tribe built specialized litters using wooden poles and mammoth hides to carry the wounded over mountains and rivers. They kept watch through the night, keeping predators away from a person who could not defend themselves. They sat by the hearth, cleaning soiled dressings, bathing the patient, and massaging muscles to prevent dangerous blood clots. Still, the quietest killer lurked invisibly beneath the skin: infection. Compound fractures exposed bone directly to soil and bacteria. Without antibiotics, how did they stop sepsis from rotting the limb away? Ancient humans were master botanists who turned the forest into a living pharmacy. To sterilize open wounds, they applied raw, wild honey. Honey has natural antibacterial properties. Its high sugar content draws moisture out of bacterial cells while naturally producing trace amounts of hydrogen peroxide. They pack deep lacerations with dried sphagnum moss. This bog moss can absorb over 20 times its weight in liquid, pulling infectious exudate out of the wound while releasing acidic compounds that kill dangerous microbes. For the unbearable grinding pain of a broken bone, they boiled the fresh inner bark of willow trees into concentrated teas. Willow bark contains salicin, the active chemical precursor to modern aspirin. When ingested, it lowered debilitating fevers, reduced joint swelling, and took the sharp edge off excruciating bone pain. They also brewed infusions of wild opium poppies, henbane, and juniper berries to sedate patients during the brutal process of resetting the bone. When we look back at the origins of human society, we often point to the invention of stone axes, cave paintings, or the mastery of fire. But many anthropologists believe the true starting point of human civilization is something far deeper, a healed femur. A healed broken bone is physical proof that someone took the time to care for a fallen companion. It proves that thousands of years ago, human beings refused to let each other perish in the dirt, choosing empathy, medicine, and community over cold survival instincts. Long before the first cities rose, compassion was our greatest survival tool. Subscribe to the channel for more incredible secrets of how ancient humans conquered the prehistoric world.